everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of my knitting podcast. My name is Marlene and I'm a knitter from Germany. Today I'm going to talk about my spring knitting plans, but I'm also incorporating this kind of like special episode into the regular podcast program, which you're used to by almost all the podcasters that do it this way. It's kind of like a thing that established itself, and now most people go about it like this. I don't really know what happened. In the beginning I just followed what other people did, and now it just makes sense to first talk about the FOs and then move on to WIPs, works in progress, and then in the end do some show and tell of your acquisitions, or maybe even some planning, which I'll do today. I'm not going to show you any acquisitions today. I've showed you my kind of like most recent acquisitions from Berlin in my Berlin vlog. For all of those who've already watched that, thank you so much for your feedback. It's kind of like a new thing that I'm trying to do on this channel every once in a while. It's not going to be a monthly occurrence or a weekly occurrence even, but whenever I'm planning a trip, and I might also do it with my hometown Marburg, I want to show you guys around, and I want to show you where there's the best food and the best yarn, because those are two of my favorite things. And so yeah, I really enjoyed creating this vlog. At the end, unfortunately, the lighting and the audio, I mean the audio was fine, but in our kitchen our fridge is really noisy. I don't know why, it's probably because it's quite old. But yeah, you were probably able to hear the fridge a bit in the background. But yeah, I think it's okay. It was just the clip before that, last long clip was really nice with the lighting, and then the last clip was just not really bright, which was a shame, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. As usual, I'm just rambling on a bit before I get started. And as usual, I'll just start with what I'm wearing today, which is my first FO of the kind of like month, I guess. This is the Inge top by Spektakel Strikk. I'm just going to finish this row and then put away my sock project for a while to be able to talk to you guys about this. This is kind of like all the way I'm wearing this is going to show you what spring kind of like means for us in Germany. Spring in Germany is not like spring in maybe Spain or other warmer countries. For us, spring means rain, flowers, obviously, like everything coming like back to life, being green again, the flowers springing out of the soil. So there is a lot of that like loveliness, but also it's windy and it's cold a lot of days. So yeah, it just needs to be, this top needs to be worn over, like you can see, a long sleeve a long sleeve shirt, because otherwise I'd be too cold. So especially March and April are mostly like this, and it gets warmer in May, I'd say. We do get a couple of like fluke, like out of the ordinary like days in April sometimes, and it might get up in like into the like 15-20 degrees on some days, but this year it doesn't look to be like that. And also like the way some people have styled this with a short sleeve t-shirt. I'm gonna insert maybe a picture of someone that has styled it in a way that I really liked. This was made with Rowan Summerlite 4-ply in Green Bay and a cone of Ito Kuni in Angora. I'm actually going to get the leftover. So with the Ito, I've actually managed to work up every single last inch of this yarn. It was really nice to work with, a quite nice experience with this paper cone as well. I did have to shorten the whole body about 1.5 centimeters. I can show you maybe like this. I don't know if you're able to see. It's not 3 centimeters exactly. It's more like 1.5 centimeters, or maybe even 2 if I'm like generous when measuring. But yeah, so I did manage to use all of this Ito Kuni cone, baby cone. But I do have about 95% of this Rowan Summerlite 4-ply, 50%, 50-gram skein left, which is okay. It would have been a bit of a shame if I didn't have this because of the like couple of centimeters that I was able to get into my project because I had this last skein. Like I said, I got these yarns when I was in Nuremberg visiting my friend Emma, and she helped me pick out these yarns and like calculated what I'd need and if this was enough. So this was a real good calculation on your part, Emma. Like I said, I don't mind this being like this much, like this tiny bit shorter. It is quite wide. I made a size 4, which is, yeah, I think it was the size that my like bust measurements called for, and I think I like the like kind of a bit more looser fit. I do have a lot of, or enough, what's it called? Positive ease in this, which I like. I didn't want to get a camisole which was like tight fitting or anything. I think this is the look that I was going for, so that's great. And with this, it is a 100% cotton yarn, so I'm just going to make some dishcloths with this. I actually 2 days ago my mom and my auntie, it's actually my mom's aunt, so she's my, I don't know, she's my auntie, I don't know. She visited from California, and we're actually going to a yarn store here in Marburg, who the lady is, she's selling a lot of like drops yarns. And my mom, she really wanted to get back into knitting. She learned when she was like just a child in school and hadn't knitted since then, basically. And now I was like, let's go, let's get some yarn for you. Let's get you into it again, because I think it's such a lovely pastime, and I just want, like, someone made me be a knitter. My friend, like I told you before, Lydia, she basically talked me into becoming a knitter. Like, she taught me, and then 1.5 years later I was obsessed. And at Christmas my mom helped me knit on one of my sleeves, so she was able to do like the right stitches pretty easily because she remembered from when she was a child. And yeah, so we got some, just one skein of drops, I think Paris. I'm not going to show you, I'm going to show you when I finish the dishcloth, but the Paris is, I think, DK or even worsted weight, and this obviously is a fingering weight. So I have a fingering dishcloth and a kind of like thicker dishcloth option. And so I'm just gonna see whether that works, if that's going to be maybe a great gift throughout the summer for people that are like, I don't know, into kitchen stuff, into cooking, baking, for them to have like a nice dishcloth. I think would be a great gift, because also it's time efficient, it's affordable to get the yarn. And yeah, that's what I'm going to use this for. I'm already talking so much about my first project, so maybe I need to move on. I did tell you about the adjustment I made. That is the only adjustment that I made. Otherwise, I just knitted 2 size. It was a nice project to make. I think overall, it took me about a month, but also I was knitting out other stuff at the same time. So yeah, if you want to know more about exact yardage, meterage, colors, everything, I'm always trying to link everything in the description box down below. And also I'm linking my Ravelry, which everything that I'm mentioning has its own Ravelry page, so you can just have a look there if there's anything that you want to know more about and that I maybe not mention, or yeah, can go ahead and have a look there. My second finished object is another springy object, which made me think that it was actually a good idea to combine the inspiration kind of like video and this just like regular podcast episode, because I did have 2 finished objects to show you guys. It is the, and I'm trying to get this, it is the Farnham tee by the TheKnitPurlGirl. It's actually on a hanger right now. I hope you can see. So this is made in drops Belle in the colorway, it's brown and beige. I'll link the color numbers down below as well. The drops Belle is a really affordable viscose linen and cotton blend yarn. It's basically the same like the Sandnes Garn, which is also a affordable yarn, but this one is like half the price of the Garn. So if you're really looking to only spend about, depending on your size, you'd be able to get this yarn for anywhere between 10 and 25 euros. So I've knit a size E, which I think is something like large, somewhere in between. I actually think the sizing system that Sophie has is good, is nice. I really enjoyed doing the test knit. I don't have anything bad to say about that. Like I said, I like the group, the test knitting group, the communication we had, the Instagram chat group. Sophie as a designer, I really admire. Two things that I probably do different afterwards now, but that are totally my fault. And I've discussed in the knitting group in the chat, and I told Sophie about it so that she could maybe flag that in the written up pattern. My tubular cast on is too tight. I tend to whenever I is it garter stitch? No, it's Kitchener stitch. Whenever Kitchener stitch, like the sewn bind off I do, I tend to want to like pull it quite tight so that it looks neat, and it does look neat, I think. The only problem is with this yarn, and then with the like tightness of my bind off, it doesn't give enough space and to like pull it over my head. And what happened then was that I transferred some of my makeup, I think it was probably some of my blush or some of my concealer. I'm also not sure if you're able to see this, but I transferred some of it to the collar edge, which happened when I tried to take it off again. And so I'm going to put this after filming, because I wanted to show you, because I'm otherwise really happy with it. I love the drop shoulder look. I like the colors that I chose. I like the length of the arms, which actually from the back side you're able to see my tattoo, which I have, I think, on one of my arms. So you're able to see that still, but it's also not like kind of like cap size. I don't know if you're what you would actually call that, but it's long enough. I think it actually has a nice length. And so I'm thinking about whether it might be a good idea, because this was actually, it was not just tubular bind off, it was Italian bind off, which I always think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Italian bind off is the one where you do the double stitches before, like the 2 rows of slipping and knitting and purling and slipping, and then you're doing the tubular bind off, which you could also just do the tubular bind off without doing the Italian, like the double stitch rows before then. At least that's how I remember it, but I might be wrong. And yes, I'm thinking about whether it'd be a good idea to open it back up again. I do have enough yarn to fix that, but like I said, I'm going to throw this into the washing machine. It's taking everything out of me to not be like, I can't put this in the washing machine, but I actually just washed and blocked it. And now I have these like stains, which aren't bad, but I wouldn't want to wear it if it has like some of my rouge transferred to it. So I'm trying to I'll put it in the washing machine on a cold cycle. I'm going to dry it again. I think this should be enough to like get the stains out of the garment. And then I'm going to see when the weather is nice enough for me to actually wear a t-shirt, because this is like a t-shirt, right? So I'm going to wear it again. And then I'm going to see about the second thing that I'm not sure about, which is the length. It is really cropped. It could have benefited from one more stripe. And this is where I need to remember to be more like Natalie from Nitty Natty, to be like really intentional with my decisions. And even if the yeah, I'm measuring really like, I don't want to say, I mean, I did do everything to pattern, but I might have just really kept this on the short side, like really measuring kind of like, how do you say that? Like really relaxed and being like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I'm not quite sure if it's on my part being like, oh yeah, I don't need to put in more like 3-4 rows, which I think would have like be fine. But like I said, this could have benefited from another like main color and then one stripe and then putting the ribbing on would have probably be a better call on my end. But yeah, you live and you learn. This is actually kind of like my first season, like spring summer season of being a knitter, an aware knitter. I've been a knitter for 2.5 years, but the first 1.5 years I'm knitting one sweater in like over half a year kind of knitter, and then maybe a beanie on the side. And now this year is my first like seasonally aware knitter season. So yeah, I haven't worked with cotton. I mean, this is cotton viscose linen blend, but I've never worked with a yarn fiber like that before. So I'm giving myself some grace for the kind of like maybe bad decisions I've made with the bind off being too tight and the length being maybe a tad bit short. I'm gonna see. I mean, if it's really like warm weather, I might like having a bit of a like some of my tummy showing, but also this wouldn't be work appropriate then. And I tried putting it on with kind of like, I have a muslin like shirt, oversized shirt. I really like the look of that. Most of my jeans are quite high-waisted or like mid-waisted, so I think it should be fine. Maybe if I'm putting on a linen, kind of like these Arket linen shorts, which are really high-waisted, it might be fine. So before I'm rushing and like cutting off the edge and like putting in more stitches and like getting frustrated with this, I'll just wait and see. I think it's a good call to be patient with myself on this one, but otherwise I'd be happy to knit for Sophie. Test for Sophie again was a great test. I've just moved really quickly with this. I think I've knitted this in 2 weeks. Everything like these informations always linked to my Ravelry, and I can't always, off the top of my head, I can't always recall how long I needed for them. But like I said, this was quite a quick knit. It had some difficulties which we spoke about in the knitting test, in the testing group, and which were all addressed. Some things that had come up with the Farnham sweater as well before, because you're picking up, you're doing short rows and then you're picking up with the stripes as well. I mean, this is not the neatest, but I think it's actually okay. I mean, if I do say so myself. I'm quite proud of this. I know it's, like I said, it's probably not the neatest ever, but picking up stitches, especially in a splitty and like really floaty yarn like this, isn't the easiest. And so I am quite happy with it. So I hope I said everything about this that I wanted to say. I would knit this again, although I'm thinking about maybe using the Belle that I also got, the white and navy, for another knit, for another pattern. So we'll see if I make another Farnham tee or maybe another pattern that I talk about in the upcoming spring knits inspiration kind of like category. So moving on to my works in progress, I actually have a half finished object and a work in progress to show you. And these might be my favorite socks so far. I actually knitted this first sock when we were on our Berlin trip and finished it when we were back home. So this was quite a fast knit. To be fair, I got a lot of hours to knit on the train ride there and back. About 3-4 hours of knitting. And And then I knitted some nights about like an hour while we were watching like documentaries in our hotel room. So, but still, this was a fast knit, and this just shows me how far I've come with sock knitting. Like a couple of months ago, I didn't even know how to knit a sock, and then I started out with vanilla socks, and now I followed another one of those like really popular Chelsea True Lane knits recommendations, and I made the Hermione's Everyday Socks. I mean, in this gorgeous Phoebe and Mercy high twist sock yarn in the colorway Dried Flowers. So the Hermione Everyday Socks is a free pattern on Ravelry by Erica Luder. I'll link it down below. And like I said, I have one sock finished and the other one I've just cast on yesterday. I had to use these red lace, I think it's the mini. It's 2.5 millimeters needles for my cast on of my next work in progress that I'll show you. And so I had to wait for the cast on to be finished, and then I immediately cast on the second sock, which I think might just like the solution for not getting second sock syndrome for me might be like really fast, like immediately after casting or binding off one sock, casting on the next, so that I'll have it to maybe do some car knitting. And just like it's a really great project to take on public transfer because it's so small. I wouldn't want a sweater project like to take to work on the bus, for example. So it's a great project for in between knitting. And also I think that like having something like some interesting stitch is actually also a great idea, because the Hermione's Everyday Sock have a 4-row repeat, which for me on the way back in like back in there and back again to Berlin, I've watched all of the new episodes of Ted Lasso, the new season, and because I was like really great, like I was entertained well, and then I had this like 4-row repeat. I was like, I'll do another repeat, and then I just did it and did it, and those were the two projects that I took to Berlin with me, and so I was able to get quite ahead with those, although this one was, like I said, more of a mindless knit, because with the Inge top I had joined all of the like triangular pieces and was knitting in the round, so this was quite an easy, I think it was 4mm needles, just like knitting in the round, didn't have to look at it. And with this it was more of like an engaged, like I said a million times now, 4-row repeat, which then made me like, I want to go to the next round, I want to go to the next repeat. And so this pretty much knitted itself, which is not true, I've knitted it, but it was really enjoyable to knit. And it's I really love the look of this like broken rib stitch detail, and I'm really grateful for Chelsea to always be a like secure source of inspiration for sock knitting and knits in general. But my next work in progress is another test knit. It's the Brighton Tee by cocoamourknitweat. It's this, hope you're able to see, it's this raglan tee with two different kinds of like different colored stripes. The neck was knitted on a 2.5mm needle. Like I said, I had to use a sock needle for this, which is not usual for me. And I've just finished the, you might be able to see, this is a bit thicker than this, or it has two stripes already, while this only has one stripe. So I was able to finish the short rows to heighten the neck a bit. And now I'm just moving on and continuing the row repeat with the 2 colors, which has left quite a mess on the inside. It was quite difficult at the beginning for me, which also made the, we'll probably be able to see these 2 raglans are a bit messy, unfortunately. The other 2 on this side are a lot neater, which is due to the fact that I'm switching the colors on this side, where I've put in some knots to secure all the ends. I think it will be fine. Throughout the time, I'm just like trying to pull them a bit, and it will be fine. But yeah, it's going to look a little bit something like this. I hope you'll be able to see. Like I said, this is another test knit that I've applied to and was chosen to be in the testing group. I'm knitting a size L, like a size large. I'm knitting this with Merino by Knitting for Olive in the colorway Cloud, which was one of the yarns that I got in Berlin. And the first contrast color, this contrast color A, like she calls it, it's kind of like a dusty artichoke mystery skein. I actually don't know what kind of yarn this is or what colorway it's called. I got this at a yarn swap with my local knitting group. It was so lovely to do it. I spoke a bit about it in my last episode, and like I said, this was where I got this beautiful light green colorway from. And the other darker colorway, which is the color, like contrast color B, is the Dusty Olive by Sandnes in the base, in the Sunday base. So yeah, 2 different green stripy colors. I mean, if you can't tell, green is like I feel comfortable with. It's, you all know I'm kind of like a beige lover, neutral color lover. But when it comes to color, I think I feel most comfortable with greens. And so I thought this might be such a lovely project to have these stripes, and I can't wait to get further. At the beginning, like the rib, the color was really like just do it, was really easy. And then joining and working 2 different colors while doing the short rows and raglan increases was a lot. I mean, not a lot, but I was a bit like, I need to be really concentrated for this. And yeah, so I just took some time, turned off everything else and knitted this. I'm going to show you the 3 colorways. Like I said, this I got in Berlin, this I got at a yarn swap, and this I had in stash. This Sunday I had in stash for another project, but I just thought I tried to like pair it with this fat mohair that I got as a present once, and that I've never known what to make with since I got it. I had a million plans and ideas already for it, and then I just like have not made them. And so it's just something that I'm trying to accept and just go with it, go with the flow, just have it in stash, and eventually there'll be a project that I want to make with this. But I just like the idea of this. I otherwise would have liked a rust and like brownie stripe, but also I have some other project that lean more that way, and so I thought, yeah, I just like the idea of having green stripes. And the 2 striped like detail, 2 different colors in the stripes, I thought were also a really special thing that you don't see everywhere, kind of. Yeah. So these were my works in progress and my finished objects, which I did have 2 of each of them. I'm also knitting on my lento a bit, but I'm just going to show you whenever I got that finished. Just knitting on the sleeve whenever I have some TV knitting, just like stockinette in the round to do. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to show you this one, the Lento 2.0, when I've finished it. Now moving on to some spring inspiration, which the whole idea of this video was to show you some of the ideas and knitting plans that I myself have for this spring, which, like I said, can be cold, can be warm, can be windy, can be sunny. is going to be a mixture of all of these. It's a transitional period. So I'm going to talk about 3 more concrete plans that I'm going to execute, and then I'm going to talk a bit about more spring inspiration knits. My next upcoming plan is also going to be a test knit. And this test knit is kind of like a second round test knit for Cookie the knitter. She's doing another round of test knits just because she's extending the same size range of her Umbria Summer top, which we love to hear. And because she's also changing, I think if I remember correctly, she's changing a couple of things in the sizes that she had already included. Testing a size large. And I did already have 2 of these balls in stash and 2 I got in Berlin. And now I want you to be brutally honest to me. Are you able to tell which ones I had in stock, or are you even able to tell that 2 are a bit of a different color, or am I just like really particular with this and like overly focused on the slight color change or like color difference in these? Tell me, be honest. So these are the Knitting for Olive Pure Silk. They are powder, the colorway powder, but 2 of them I've had in stash for about close to a year, and the other ones I just bought. And I think I'll be fine. I'll be just like changing them up a bit. It is a overall, so the knit has an overall pattern. So I think that is going to distort the eye from realizing or recognizing color differences, like really visible color differences. So I think I'll be fine, but be honest, like tell me if this is not, if you can tell that I think these ones I've had in stash and these ones I got new. I think they are a bit warmer and these are a bit faded maybe. And also the skeins are a bit looser, which is probably be like from me moving them around in stash. But yeah, this is what I plan on knitting the Umbria Summer top with. I'm going to include a picture. I'm going to try and include pictures of all the things that I'm talking about, just to show you what my kind of like vision is for the summer. I don't have like a neatly curated color inspiration or like color palette. I loved seeing Amy from Knit's color choices and like what season she is and how she's incorporating that with the things she has in stash. So just not like completely throwing everything out that she has, but also like I really like that. But I don't know, is it not me, or am I just too, do I not want to take the time out of my day to go the extra mile and also make that? I don't know, I'm just trying to be really open-minded when it comes to color. Like doing all those like neutrals that I love, but also taking in the color when it comes to me and when I feel like incorporating it. So I'm not going to do a seasonal color inspiration palette, but I really enjoyed watching that video. So I'm going to link that also down below if you haven't watched it already, which I'm sure you have. But I also, that is kind of like a small acquisition. It's part of this video. I got some buttons. I got some buttons from a UK-based Etsy shop, and it's called Pigeons Wishes Shops. I'm going to show you here if you're looking to buy some of these. I'm going to show you the ones that I'm imagining this beautiful Umbria Summer top like pairing them with. Actually, on the website it says it's a family-owned, eco-friendly fabric and button supplier. So it was really easy to order from them via Etsy, so I didn't have any problems with that. I think they were well priced considering they're handmade, and also I might be able to give some away, maybe to friends, because I do have enough. I think these are like 2, 4, 6, These are 15 buttons, and I won't need to have these many. I won't need this many, so I might be able to like give half to a friend. Also know exactly which friend I'd be giving some to. And so yeah, I really think this looks great together, and this is going to be my next cast on whenever I finish my other test knit. For the Brighton Tee, I have until sometime in May, I think the first week of May, so that should be fine. And for this Umbria Summer top, I do have until June, because she's just retesting the knit for the larger sizes. So I think that should be enough time. But in the testing group, I've already realized it's quite an involved test knit. It's really small needles and a lot of things that I've never done before. I've never made a button band before. I've never knit something that size in a broken rib stitch. I think it's broken rib stitch. I need to read the pattern. I haven't prepared well enough for this. But yeah, that is going to be my next cast on whenever I finish my other test knit. And yeah, moving on to my next tee plan. I've showed you the yarn before, so I'm not pulling up all of the skeins. I have 6 skeins of the Ulysse Rerum Natura in Poivre et Sel. I hope I'm saying this right. Someone told me that it's not poire, because that is pear, but I think I've said Poivre et Sel. Pfeffer und Salz in Germany, pepper and salt, I think, which is a nice description for this like really nicely tonal, I think, yarn. I really like the color. I know some people might say this is not a color, but for me it is. It is right up my alley, and I actually also got some buttons to go with this. I might use some other more basic buttons from my stash. I haven't decided yet, because these are a bit of a statement as well. I mean, still a neutral statement. And I've got some like really cheap, just what's the shop called? I'm going to pull them up. Why not? So these, like I said, are just from Grene, and I would probably use one of the like smaller ones, but they also might be too big. I'm not sure. I also have some of these also pearly ones, which I like both sides of actually, but they are also a bit bigger than the ones I got from Pigeon's Wishes. And now the ones that I got with this project in mind, but they also might become something, or I might use them for something different. Actually, another project I'm going to talk about in a minute are these Pigeon Wishes, kind of like tortoiseshell, but with kind of like a reddy undertone. I think they are really fun. They're still pretty neutral, but a bit elevated. I'm not sure yet which ones I'll use, but these ones would also be perfect for another project I'm going to talk about in a minute. But yeah, this is a knit that I've planned for some time now, and I will be making this summer. The Ulysse is actually a 100% wool yarn in comparison to using a silk blend. Is it? No, it's pure silk, right? So it's just silk. Oh yeah. In comparison to using a silk and a cotton viscose linen blend. I'm just looking to try out all of this yarns this season. And yeah, like I said, I'm going to link the Pigeon Wishes handmade buttons in the description box down below, which is making me move on nicely to my last concrete plan for this spring season, which is going to be my April cardigan. And this is the plan where I said I'd had some more Chelsea related content coming up, because she actually got me this Brooklyn Tweed Loft American Targy Columbia wool in the Explorenison fiber Surrey alpaca lace in petrichor. The Brooklyn Tweed is in the colorway Fossil. I hope this is coming up nicely on the camera. And I've caked up the yarn and I've knitted a gauge swatch, which is looking a little bit something like this. Now this has great stitch gauge, it's medium gauge in the stitches, but not in the rows. I mean, I think I'm 2 rows or 3 rows short, which I'll try and see. Judging from the pattern, like the fabric I'm getting, I could probably go up half a needle size without like it being too loose. It's quite, I don't know if you're able to tell, but it's really dense, like you can't see anything through it. First of all, I love the colors. I can't wait to knit up this. I didn't actually tell you which pattern I would be using, right? So thank you so much for everyone who suggested cardigan patterns. When I spoke to Chelsea again after we did the yarn swap, I was like, my birth month is April. It's April. I want to make my first cardigan like now, like yesterday. I want to start it. And so I was like, yeah, the April cardigan looks quite nice. And she's like, yeah, that was the one I had in mind. That was the one where I like looked for the yardage and I was like, okay, that is a lot of signs telling me to knit it. And I saw Vanicia from the Woolly Worker also knit up an April cardigan in another wool, but also I think it's pretty comparable, although I think this is quite of a thicker fingering weight and the sari is also a bit thicker than the mohair, which might be the reason why this is really like dense, and also maybe the row gauge is a bit small, but also it looks okay. I don't know. I think I might have to make the April cardigan, although there are a couple of or so many other really nice cardigan patterns out there. I need to start somewhere. And I think, judging from all the reasons that I've shared here, I will cast on the April cardigan in April with this beautiful yarn. And like I said, tell me what you think about the going up half a needle size, because I think, like I said, I think this might actually benefit from a bit of a thicker needle, which then I think this would be a 4.5, going up on the body from a 4 to a 4.5, and then on the ribbing from a 3 to a 3.5, I think, which I usually don't have to change needle sizes whatsoever. I think I'm quite often like an average knitting tension knitter. I don't know, but I'm always on gauge. Whenever I gauge swatch, I'm on gauge, which makes me not always gauge swatch because I'm getting cocky. I don't know. But yeah, so let me know what you think about going up half a needle size on this. And also, apart from that, I'd probably just knit to my usual size and then just see if I can knit it a bit longer, whatever, like however much yarn I've got. I probably shorten the ribbing on the body a bit just because I don't love the look of that. I really like the all over look of the cardigan, but when it comes to that, I'd probably shorten that a bit. I mean, not like shorten the length of the cardigan, but shorten the ratio of ribbing to stockinette. And now, the star of the show, the reason why I ordered from Pigeon Wishes. Let me introduce you to my April cardigan buttons. Aren't these gorgeous? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you guys. I just love them. I think they go so well with the really like toned back, couple of like grayish, orangey, like browny, reddish, yeah, kind of like orange specks in the sari, and the like really cold tone, like fossil, I think is the perfect way to describe this. Woolen spun, I think it's woolen spun, right? Yeah, Brooklyn wool. I love them. I think they're out there, they're making this knit even more fun. Like I said, I like basic stuff. I like the basic, like really toned back buttons like this. I'm going to open this. And also it's nice to get some buttons for like 140. But also it's nice to get some buttons for, I don't know, 15 euros. I don't know how much I paid for those exactly. Like I said, I'm going to link them down below, and if you're really interested, you can have a look. And I mean, these are nice as well. Like having something really basic like this, I'll put them on something eventually. And there will be a knit where something like toned back like this really calls for, but I don't know why. I saw these, I knew it had to be like, they had to get married in this project. And I'm now moving on to some honorable mentions, knits that I might attempt to knit whenever I've finished all of my other plans. Like I told you, I have 2 more tees to knit, I have 1 more cardigan to knit, and I need to finish the socks and the test knit tee that I'm currently working on. So there's enough projects and plans for the upcoming month and a half, even 2 months. So these are some lovely patterns and plans, some spring inspiration, I guess. So something I'd love to make, which is really popular, and I've saw other people talk about this, especially Kahila from Handmade by Kay. She made one in a beautiful brown color. And I'm talking about the Cumulus tee, obviously. The Cumulus blouse was one of those like patterns that I recognize as being a popular pattern, because my friend Lydia, she I think made 4, at least 3 Cumulus blouses. Yeah, she's a Cumulus blouse person. For me, in my head, whenever I think of that pattern, I think of her, and it suits her really well. I think the look of like having a racerback tee underneath is spot on, and I'm seeing myself wearing a Cumulus tee in a similar way, just like no bra, just a racerback like top camisole, and then putting the Cumulus tee over it. When I was in Berlin, I met up with Belle from Quasi Gerade on Instagram. She also has a couple of knitting patterns. I mentioned her lace socks before. I'm going to link her again. As always, when I talk about other people, I'm going to link them in the description box below. And when I was in Berlin and we met up to roam around Von Berlin store, which, like I mentioned many times before, is one of my favorite online knitting store, but also is a great in-store shopping experience. And we were talking like all things yarny goodness and knitting. She was actually carrying around her Cumulus tee, and she said that she loved the cotton merino to use for it. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea. Another thing to buy. And like I said, I didn't get any more yarn that I had like really concrete plans for it, but this I could see myself getting. I might be getting 4 skeins of the cotton merino by Knitting for Olive in slate. Hear me out. I hear you saying this is not a spring color, Marlene. This is not a spring color. I don't care. This is as springy as it will get on this channel. I love seeing other people in colorful, like, I don't know, springy flower bed colors. I love looking at those colors, but I don't feel comfortable wearing them. Like I said, this is as colorful as it will probably get on my channel. And I just want something that is wearable. And I think I usually wear black t-shirts anyways. And the slate is just the perfect kind of like dark gray / black color. So yeah, that might have to happen. I mean, I do also love the colorway Rust. It's pretty nice. Speaking of Rust, I highly recommend you check out Simone's podcast. She has a new podcast. She's Rust Knitwear. She also has a lot of nice knitting patterns. She just came out with a podcast herself. So whenever I'm thinking rust, I'm thinking of Simone. I don't actually know her in person, but she seems really nice. So yeah, also going to link that below. But yeah, the Cumulus tee might have to happen at some point. 4 balls of cotton merino would be good for my size. I think Bella said that she gets around with like 3 balls, but then it doesn't have the sleeve length that I like. I would like to have like kind of like half, yeah, kind of like a bit longer sleeves. And also I don't want to be restricted when it comes to knitting the length that I might need. I don't want the Cumulus tee to be cropped. I do have enough cropped things now. And yeah, I think that's everything. I might need to get 4 of those skeins. So another pretty sure knitting plan is the Tolsta tee by the Crea Bear. That was another test knit that I applied to, but that I was actually not chosen to be in the test group, which, I mean, I know how many people apply to Rebecca's test knits, so I guess she can't pick everyone. So, but yeah, I had wanted to apply to one of her test knits for such a long time. It just never made sense at the time. I was knitting for, it was testing for Gregoria Fibers, Anna, twice before, whenever Rebecca had come out with another test call herself. And also I think some of her patterns I just am a bit scared to touch. I haven't done cables. The Cargill looks so nice, but also it's this like dip stitch, I think it's called. I've never done before. The Care has color work, which I've never done before, and I would love to knit all of her patterns, and I'm sure I have to at least do 2 this year. It's like the base level. I need to make at least 2, and the Tolsta tee will probably be one of them. It has quite a loose gauge from what I could like tell from what she was saying about it like already. So I don't know about the gauge yet, but if it will fit the drop spell, I also might make a striped, like white and navy striped version, just like the one that Rebecca made for herself. I just think that is such a classic look, and yeah, I could see myself wearing and making one of that. Like I said, I need to see how the gauge is for everyone that had applied to test knit, but she couldn't choose or hadn't chosen. She's going to send out a discount, I think, whenever she releases the pattern. So I'm obviously going to get the pattern, and yeah, I see myself like buying more of her patterns in the future throughout this year, and just like I have so many of her patterns in my queue and in my like to knit wish list, but haven't yet come around to. So some of her testers, because it's let me rewind. It's a really simple raglan tee with a great kind of like loosely a bit cropped, kind of like great staple look, which is kind of like a great basis for people's creative minds to run wild, which is also what she intended in the test knit as well. She was asking people to write down what they were thinking to make with it. And Kelly, who's Coco Knits on Instagram and who I've met through a test knit for another designer, she is just, her creativity has kind of like exploded all over her 4 versions of this Tolsta tee. She's made everything from like eyelets to kind of like symmetrical like lines and patterning and color blocking, and like added kind of like strands to tie up at the base of the t-shirt with. And she used for that one, she actually used, I'm going to insert it here, she actually used I think Rico yarn that I also found in my local yarn store. And I was like, oh, I love this, but what am I going to use it for? And then she knit this t-shirt with this yarn. I was like, I might not need much of it. It's not going to be a long-term knit, like Rebecca said as well. It's something that you can take a chance with. It's like, am I going to make a pink t-shirt with like a marled hand-spun look yarn that I like love the look of, but I'm like, is it going to fit to me, to the style that I'm usually wearing? If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because it's like a quite fast knit, so I might attempt that as well. But yeah, anyway, the Tolsta tee hasn't been released yet, but it's going to be released pretty soon, I guess. Which brings me to the next design, which is also a Rebecca Clow design. It's a Corran Cardigan, and it has been released as of yesterday. It is a lace pattern, I think DK weight design. And when she called for testers for that one, I just wasn't sure about it. I was like, I loved all of her other designs, and then she came out with this, and I don't know, I've maybe never worn anything lace myself before, and I was like, I don't know if I need that. I don't know if that is a pattern that I myself will be knitting. So I didn't apply to test knit that. And it does have adjustable sleeve length and an adjustable collar. You can do a V-neck or a round neck version collar, which I love. And when I saw her rust color version, and some of the other ones, like the tester versions, were so nice. I liked Carson's, like Carsey Handmade's one in, I think it's kind of like this gray sagey color. And she has small, like short sleeve and a V-neck, which I think would be the version that I might make. So short sleeve V-neck or long sleeve round neck, which I think Rebecca said in her last video as well, were the two versions, at least for the people in Edinburgh, which from her test, like from her knitting group. I'm getting tongue twisted right now, but those were the versions that more people, or the most people, made. Those two like alterations, no, those two versions were pretty like other people made as well, and I think they're really like, I get why. So that is on my wish list, and I think it's so lovely. I might just have to get the pattern this weekend while it's still on like how do you say that, like launch discount, like 20% launch discount, and yeah, I might get that. So two other tees that I love the look of are the Skagen Tee by Witter Design and the Poppy Tee by Petite Knit. The Skagen Tee is a DK weight, which only goes up, and I'm saying only goes up to 3XL. I'm going to talk about two more designs which are only going up to 2XL. This is going up to 3XL, but that's only about 130 something centimeters, so it could be better when it comes to the size range. It's from, did I say it's from Witter Design? Yeah, and I would probably knit this with Sandnes Lina, which is another yarn that I would like to try. It also has the opportunity to put in many nice buttons, which would be something I would like to do again. I think that is such a nice look. But yeah, I'm not happy with the 3XL. I think it would be great to have another couple of sizes added. I really enjoy seeing the development in the online knitting community of designers adding to their size range, and I really would like to see that with them as well. And I'm going to say some more about that when I come to the camisoles that I wanted to talk about. And the Poppy Tee, like I said, is from Petite Knit. It's not released yet. It just looks really nice. I've seen everybody go bananas over it already, which is usually the case with Petite Knit designs. She just has a way of like hitting the nail on the head when it comes to like contemporary knitting design. She has just like hit the nail on the head. That's what I wanted to talk about. No, so it hasn't been released yet. I can't say much more about it. I like seeing some of the versions that her testers are doing, so yeah, we'll wait and see. If I don't get around to do it this year, maybe I might knit it next year. I don't know. So speaking about the size inclusivity part that I wanted to address again, the two camisoles that I'm thinking about making, and that I do already have the yarn for one of them. It's this Focolana Mercy in, I think cinnamon is the colorway. I wanted to make the camisole number 7 by My Favorite Things Knitwear with this since last year, and I probably will be making this. And the next one is the Nelly top by Spektakel Strikk. Both of these camisoles only go up to a 2XL, which there's no good reason for that. Any sizes, anybody could wear both of them. It's not for the designer or anyone else to judge what looks good or anything, I think. And I think it is a really important goal for the knitting community to be really vocal about this. So I do already have both of the patterns, and so I might make them, but before I will be making them, I will be contacting the designer and just voicing my thoughts about that. And I think that is a way to go. I mean, you'll still be nice about it, be polite, and still be really like, let it be known that the knitting community doesn't care about things not being size inclusive. There's no space for that. I don't think it's like 2023. We'll have to, everyone has to do better. That is just my opinion about that. And I haven't spoken about it much on here because I think other people are so more eloquently like talking about it. I know, some people have been really vocal about it, and I've really appreciated it, but I thought this would be like coming up to spring and summer, this would be the time for me to also voice my opinion about this and how I will be going on about it. I do have the designs, like the patterns already. I will be seeing if there are other patterns, and I will be contacting the designer and make them aware of people not being, not agreeing with that. Because like I see with Cookie the Knitter, like we're seeing with Cookie the Knitter, and also another person I'll be talking about, another designer I will be talking about next. There are options of retesting sizes, and some people have done it before, and I know My Favorite Things Knitwear has said that she wanted to change some of that, and that she had, I think, extend some of the size ranges. I've just found that camisoles seems to be a difficult field of knitting when it comes to finding like really size inclusive patterns, and I think having them extend the size range shouldn't be a big problem, in my opinion at least. And now the last two patterns that I wanted to talk about are actually sweater / pullover / cardigan kind of designs. And the first one is by my dear friend Emma. It's her clematis sweater, which is her first design that she's just called for testers, and she's found her testing group. I'm actually unfortunately not going to test it for her. Obviously she asked me because we're like really good friends, but I had already signed up. I had applied for 5 test knits this spring and was chosen to knit 3 of them, to test 3 of them. The 2 I had not been chosen for were the Tolsta tee by the Beige and the Cloud bra by Ulysse Knitwear, who does amazing designs as well. I think she's one of the like upcoming newer designers. And I wasn't chosen for that one, for those 2, but I was chosen for 3 others. So I was like all booked up when it came to test knitting, and I just didn't want to overwhelm myself. So I can still knit this beautiful design whenever it's like finished testing. And I think it is just such a clever asymmetric. I love the detail right here where it's kind of like looks like it's tucked in there. I love the buttons, obviously. This was also a design I had in mind when I bought these, which I'm seeing myself like having this in like a kind of a beige maybe, or a rust, or a white, or a brown even. And then these buttons with it would look so great. And so yeah, still I wanted to recommend it really highly. I know that she's going to bring out more designs, and if there's ever like the moment where I have enough time and she needs another tester, I know that I'll be testing for her in the future, and I'm just really proud of her for like making it come true. I know our like inner critic or like our imposter syndrome can be so tough at times, and even like my most like talented, I mean all of my friends are talented, but like my most creative and like making and inspiring friends are the ones that like think about their abilities the most and like question themselves. And I don't think we need to. I mean, it's good to think about what you're doing and to like question yourself whether you're a good person like to others, but like don't question your abilities. Love you, friends. But yeah, she's bringing it out in I think 2 months. I will be mentioning it again, and you can follow her on Instagram as well. I'll link her details down below. And now the last pattern that I wanted to mention is by Vert Knit. And she is also right now extending the size range for summer fur designs. Her Miletus top is also really nice, but I just wanted to include another jumper / cardigan, which is the Cardi jumper. Her name is Ines Oliveira. I hope I'm saying that right. Ines Oliveira. She's Vert Knit, and she's made this beautiful cardigan, which you can switch up. Like the front can be the back, and the back can be the front. And I just think it has a really like classic look to it. Like I said, the Miletus top is the same. It has like I think a square neck and a V-neck or a round neck, 2 neck options depending on how you style it and how you wear it. And I think it might actually be quite similar to this Inge top when it comes to fit. And so I think that also might be a really, really nice option. Like I said, I won't be able to make all of those knits, and there is going to be another year and another summer to knit all of those. I will be doing another roundup of camisoles, like more of like hot weather knits in the future, if it's like actual summer weather. And like I said, I'm going to link my favorite like people who've done spring inspiration knits roundups, I guess, in the description box down below. I've mentioned some of them on Instagram as well, but I think I forgot one. I forgot to mention one on there, which I'm always like feeling guilty about, but also whatever, it's okay. So yeah, so I'm just looking around thinking about like, did I mention everything? I might knit some other things in between. This is not like a set. Okay, so my camera just turned itself off. My phone turned itself off, and when I had finished the video and I realized this, and I nearly cried because I thought I had lost 1.5 hours of footage. I didn't. We're safe, we're good. I really don't know if I would like had the strength today to knit, like film it another time. I was like planning on filming yesterday and I really didn't feel like it. Like my mental state wasn't well enough to do it. And now I thought I had lost all of this footage again. I was like, I don't think the cinematic mode has worked. The frame is a bit crooked. I was, just really questioning my everything. So I just wanted to say, I think I did actually film everything, which is great. I just wanted to say bye. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for being such a lovely bunch of people, for always commenting what you are working on. I love reading through your comments, for being such a active and reactive and communicative, lovely bunch. I really like being on here. I like sharing about this craft. I like listening to all the podcasts that I enjoy watching and listening to. And I just wanted to say, I'll see you in a couple of weeks in my next episode. And until then, I hope you're all staying healthy, and I wish you happy knitting. Bye.